Good evening, everyone. We will call the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, December 12, 2019, to order. I'd like to ask Robert Jones to come forward and provide us with an invocation and lead us in our pledge, if everyone will stand. Let us pray. Lord, as we prepare to celebrate the birth of our Savior, I pray that you guide us today and always. Satisfy the needs that are needed to be met during this council meeting. Thank you for every seat that has been taken and filled here today. Each mind, each heart in this room, we thank you. For only you truly know what is setting out to accomplish. We have ideas, visions, hints, and daily instructions. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you can see the detail in the perfect end of every beginning, every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain. Even our mistakes, our missteps are used for your good. May all glory be to you. When we reach the finish line and climb over the hurdles, your righteousness transcends all the efforts and understandings. Blanket us, Lord God, with your presence and peace today. Keep us physically safe and guard our hearts and minds from pride and selfishness. Strengthen our confidence in who you have made us to be. Set us free from comparison in order to work together efficiently. Bless this meeting, Lord, all that's present as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Ready to make us, or to make every moment count as we remember the true reason for the season. And Lord Jesus, thank you in your holy name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Miller.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Helton. Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Here.
Councilmember Webb. City Manager Dorsey.
Here.
City Attorney Litchfield.
Here. Fortunately, we're missing two tonight from council. Vice Mayor Hilton couldn't make it, and then I believe Councilmember Witt is under the weather with flu, so we wish her the best and hope she recovers quickly. Under item B, we have presentation. Actually, we have several presentations tonight. The first one's going to be the Life Saving Awards in the Police Department. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like for Officer Brendan Beagle to come forward. On October 4th of this year, Officer Beagle, along with another officer, responded with the fire department to a fire on Southmore Road. When they got there, they reacted quickly and they were able to help two residents out of the house. So this award, in recognition of your life-saving efforts on October 4, 2019, when responding to a fire on Southmore Road, you and Officer David Boyd reacted quickly to assist two residents out of the burning house, likely saving their lives. Your quick actions and concern for others, in spite of the potential danger, demonstrates your dedication and service to the City of East Ridge. Officer Boyd is also getting a life-saving award, but he is under the weather as well. Thank you.
Amazing service that our police department and fire department provide for our community. We appreciate it tremendously. Thank you. Next, we
we have a presentation for the Library Census Coloring Contest winner.
Hi, I'm Jane Sharp. I'm a volunteer with Eastridge Counts, and in the process of our brainstorming about how we can carry out our mission, which is to engage the public and the residents of Eastridge so that they understand the importance of the census and what it means to our city. We held 2 events already. The first one being a coloring contest that we did for our children who are 2 to age 5, because that is the least reported group of any citizens that we have, and they are the group that is the most important to our future. So we have held a contest and we have our winner here tonight, but I'd also like to mention that we also participated for the first time ever, I believe, in the Eastridge Christmas Parade. And Mr. Wilson here was almost single-handedly. Casey Tokel and Dennis helped with that, and they spent at least 1 or 2 sleepless nights preparing the display that we had in the Christmas parade, and having ridden on the float, it was so much fun. So I want to turn this over to Letitia Turner, who is with Census 2020, and have her speak for just a minute, and then I'd like to do the award.
Okay. Yes, you may.
Can you all hear me okay? Okay, my name is Letitia Turner, and I'm one of the partnership specialists for the Census Bureau that takes care of the city of Eastridge. And as she was saying, our children under 5 are one of our most important populations to be counted, because for whatever reason, we are not counting our children. So if you know of anybody, or if you have unique living situations where the kids are split between homes, or whatever the situation may be, decide where that child is going to be counted. If that decision can be made, wherever that child is on April the 1st, that Census Day, that's where that child needs to be counted. But it's very important that our children under 5 get counted, because that information from Census is tied back into grants, child care programs, free lunch programs, and if we don't get it right this time, it'll be 10 years before we can get it right again. So also we have Hiram Langley here. He's one of our recruiting assistants, and I'm just going to have him talk briefly about the hiring process. Right now we have over 3,000 positions that are available, and I'll let him just finish that, because that's his thing.
The Census Bureau is conducting recruiting all through Hamilton County, actually all of the state. But in Hamilton County specifically, our goal is to have 3,650 people on board by March 2nd. Right now, we have 1,100 folks who have qualified, who have applied. Obviously, we got a long way to go. And one thing to also used to, they would send people everywhere. Now, you'll only be hired in your zip code. You'll only be hired in your neighborhood. You don't have to go outside your neighborhood. The requirements are you be 18 years of age and a U.S. citizen. That's really the only requirement we have.
Pass the word to everyone.
They pay. It becomes effective January 5th. It's $19.50 an hour, and 58 cents a mile when you use your automobile. Now, some folks say, well, if I don't drive, as long as you have access to public transportation, you will be reimbursed for that public transportation that you listen to.
I want to get a future volume. Because Bob, I guess that's a little closer. Can you like each other? All right.
Now, I'd like to call Gabriella Aguilar and her beautiful family all to come up, if you would. I have a little present for you. This is the most important part. This is a t-shirt for you to wear. Here, let's get you. Come on, here, stand next to me. And the t-shirt says, line up right here. We have a t-shirt that has the coloring that you did that says, I won. This East Ridge, and it's extremely important that we make sure that all of our residents are counted. So please pass the word along to everyone you know to take part in the census for the betterment of this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all the work that you did for the coloring book contest and for the float. It was amazing. It was beautiful, and the work that you're doing to ensure that everyone counts is counted. It is very important, as I have mentioned repeatedly, and as you mentioned, a lot of funding is based upon our census count, so it's very important that everyone is counted. Next, we have a presentation for the Christmas Parade Awards. Ms. Powers.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Bowers. A lot of you I have seen up here every year, and that's a great thing. And some are brand new to the East Ridge Christmas Parade Awards. So, what I want to do first is recognize our judges who, without them, we wouldn't have awards, so we wouldn't have won. So, LaDonna Ryder, if you'll come up, and Diane, you're already up there. Did you come in? And also Alan Falls, and he did not come, did he? No. The husband didn't come. So but I wanted to give you all a certificate of appreciation, because without you, we wouldn't have awards, because we wouldn't know who would win. Because everybody deserves to win, because everybody's float was just fantastic. So thank you very much.
Everybody look at me.
And Mayor and Council, if you'd like to come down, we'll start the regular awards. Okay. I know I can talk loud, but that way the camera can hear. So this year, we always have a grand marshal that kind of ushers in the parade and is the very first one that everyone sees. And we like to try to pick business owners or people that have contributed to the city. And there's not one person more deserving than this man, Mr. Glenn Meadows of Wally's Restaurant. He helps us anytime we need it. He is fantastic. You get a plaque for this restaurant and then something to take home with you. Well, thank you. Hey, that's my camera.
I stole a better camera. How come it's not that?
Because you're not holding it down.
Put your cell phone
There you go.
You might want to take two. You might want to take two.
Back it a little closer here, man. Act like you like that guy. Yes.
My grandchildren sure enjoy it.
Thank you, Glenn. That was, oh, Glenn, here's the rest of your box. All right, now we have two different categories for the East Ridge Christmas Parade. We have the education, which is our scout groups, school groups, any type that would be considered educational. And then we also have everybody else. So we'll start with those awards first. With those, we give out a plaque, and this year was very interesting. I didn't give the judges a chance to really look and see who's first, second, and third, so we had a lot of ties. So this year we actually had 2 first place winners and 4 second place winners. So I couldn't choose, so Everybody just got an award there. So we'll start with second place. Second place, first off, is Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 203. Don't be shy, don't be shy. I like standing by Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. You guys did a fantastic job with that. Made me cry almost even.
There's a smile in there somewhere. Isn't
Fantastic job that you guys did. Like I said, it was a very tough competition because all these floats were wonderful. So the next second place winner tie is Melody's Diner. And this young lady was one of the singers that was on that float. Fantastic job, Miss Azure. And come pictures.
Yeah, she might have shown you guys a lot better. Brian, you look good.
Our next second place winner is Physician Surgery Center of Chattanooga. And our last second place winner is Camping World RV Sales. They were pretty sure they were going to be able to come, so I'm guessing the manager didn't get to come. That's okay. I'll make sure they get this. All right, now to the real big one. With our education, we don't do just a certificate. We also give them a cash prize. So in first place, we do $300. Second place, we do $200. And third place, we do $100. Again, lots of ties. Oh, wait. I didn't even do first place. Y'all didn't remind me of that. Okay. We still have first place on these. We were just trying to get to the money part. I know what it was. All right, so we did have 2 first place winners in our other category. And the first one is Action Church of East Ridge. All are some of the ones that spent a lot of time in painting. I think 70 hours was what the pastor told me on their float. So thank you very much. You did a fantastic job.
Wow. Thank you. Big smile on y'all.
I just want to say that our little church appreciates the chance to do this. And just want you to know, our little church has got a big heart. Anytime you want to come, you come and see us, okay?
Thank you, guys. And the other first place, and she's looking at me like, what is she doing here? East Ridge Electric. Always have a good float. They have chimneys and smoke and everything.
Thank you, guys. We work really hard every year to make this better for everybody, especially for the kids. I put hours and hours after working long days into this float, and I do nothing more than just responsible. We have something new every year, so always work. I'm working on next year.
I'm sure it will be amazing. He'll get over it. All right, now we are getting to the money part. So again, we did have some more ties. We had 1 first place and 3 second place. So couldn't choose second place, so we decided to give them all 3. So we'll start with them. The first of the second place winners is Eastridge High School JRTC Marching Unit.
Turn around the uniforms.
If you don't mind, I've never been bashful. I'm going to add 90 seconds to your program.
Go right.
But we brought all these cadets here, and this is important, citizens of Eastridge High School. This is their exposure as high school to city government, to see a little bit of city government in action, and to be present in front of the mayor. They're going to be your leaders of the future and near future. This young lady right here is going to be the distant future, but these young people will be the near future. Could I ask you to please take your seats on the dais, and I'm going to put my cadets in front of you and capture a picture of them arrayed in front of you with you in the background. Would that be okay, sir? Thank you. I appreciate that. Cadets, come on up
We
here.
want to finish this first, and
Is
then,
that okay?
yeah,
Okay.
we'll finish these, and then we're going to do pictures.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
That way they don't have to go up and down.
I don't want them to miss that opportunity. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, then our next second place winner is another Eastridge High School football team. Thank you, Coach James. Well, here you are. We appreciate you all. And
All right, thank you.
smile. Thank you, sir.
Jill, second.
All right, so our next second place winner is Belvoir Christian Academy. Hey, he's a cute shadow. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Come on in. I'll tell you what, I'll take your picture. Thank you.
Back a little closer. Big smile. Nice.
Thank you. Congratulations. And our first place winner, because I can see them back there kind of with a puzzled look. You guys are next. It is our Cub Scout Pack 3003 first place. You did a fantastic job, buddy. Thank you. So, yeah. That's right. Come over here. From everybody. Thank you. Great job. Thank you, everyone, to all of our winners. You did a fantastic job, and our Christmas Parade 2020 will be just as good, if not better, as it always is. So we'll let JROTC, if you guys want to take your pictures real quick.
That'd be excellent. I appreciate everybody's patience in here to allow us this 90 seconds to do this. This will be a memory of a lifetime for Eastridge High School and Eastridge. I gotta get this over. That I can follow orders for sure. Okay, you guys get it tight, shoulder to shoulder. A couple of you get in front, shoulders get in front. You know who's shorter up here with the mayor.
Smiles, y'all.
Look at me right here. Fantastic. Great job.
Everybody shake the mayor's hand. Thank you, sir. We have one student who couldn't make it with us tonight. He says he's going to be the mayor of East Ridge. These are all the seniors. There's a couple of juniors in here, but these are the seniors. They led the battalion this year. That's why they're here. Your courtesy is Thank you. Let's go ahead and slide out while we're making some noise. Let's go ahead and slide out while we're making some noise.
Thank you very much. We had a very amazing Christmas parade, as you can tell. And it'll only get better. All right, next we have a presentation from our Citizens Police Academy.
Mayor, council. All right, the people sitting behind us that look like they've recently escaped from a prison camp are our Citizens Academy. We started
I have a
this.
piece I'm waiting for you, so don't worry about it.
Do what?
You want to introduce yourself so we have it on record?
Oh, I'm sorry, I looked at it. All right, we started the Citizens Academy with kind of the concept that what people don't know about, they're kind of afraid of. So we had some goals. One of them, and I know I'm a little biased, but I think we got some really great people that work for our police department. So our goal was to kind of humanize them. We wanted to get citizens in, let them know about what we do, get to know the individual officers as individuals instead of just this guy that drives by in a car. So the goal of that, we also wanted to come out, we wanted to have citizens that were kind of informed. I mean, they're not going to come out and be trained like a police officer, but they learn what we do. So if somebody asks them questions, they go back, they have influence on their colleagues, people, their friends. They might have a question for them. They go, hey, I know why the police do something this way. And last, we wanted to make sure that we had fun. We didn't want to kill them with PowerPoints. So we wanted to get them out, we wanted to do things, be hands-on, teach them. And honestly, judging from the feedback we got, I mean, we got some things we can improve on. We have another academy coming up in the spring. We're going to expand it a little. We kept this one small because, to be blunt, we didn't know what we were doing. So we kept it, the goal was to keep it to 10 people. I think we're expanding it to 15 next time. So if anybody's interested, applications on the website. We'll be coming back up in April. And we have a couple of our graduates, Mickey and Earl, want to do a little PowerPoint. And again, hopefully it spreads interest and we'll get some more people to go through this thing. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the council for working with the police department and letting this come to fruition. This was really a great, fun time. I think Mayor Williams, you got to see firsthand some of the things that we got to attempt. And, it gave us really a better understanding of what happens in our police department. It's not as simple as everybody thinks it is, and it was just a great opportunity for us as citizens to get to roll our sleeves up and get in there. Citizens Police Academy is aimed at familiarizing our citizens with how the various aspects of law enforcement profession exist. During these training exercises and experiences from the various divisions, we got to see every division in the police department and spend time with them, ask them questions, and it was really just a great hands-on event. I would encourage everyone next year, as this becomes available, to sign up. Like Lieutenant Houston said, there will be 2 classes next year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And our classes were 3 hours long on Monday nights, and we would get there early and end up staying late. And sometimes we'd get home at 10, 10:30, something like that. Sometimes we would go to get dinner as a group and just relive the evening's events and discuss the fun that we had. Who can attend? Anybody that's a resident of East Ridge, that's a citizen here. You must be, you must submit the application, and you will have an intense background check, which will be required. And like the lieutenant said, it's a 10-week course, and you will meet 1 night a week. Week 1 was the orientation, where we got to meet all the officers that would be teaching. They gave us their biographies of, what department they were in, how long they've been a police officer, where they came from. And then we also got to see the history of the East Ridge Police Department. It's interesting, as to the year that we had our first police officers, and we only had 2 covering this entire city. So that was just a real interesting time. We also got to see all the department, the agency, and the organizational chart, who reported to, and it just gives you a better understanding that it's more complicated than we realize. You see a policeman driving down the street, and you don't think about all that goes with it. The students were introduced. We did our paperwork, we had the course overview, and then we got to tour the police department. And one thing I will say is it's smaller and more cramped than I really expected it to be. And as we move forward in the future, these guys do a tremendous job up there in that small space. Week 3, we got to go to the 9/11 Communications Center, and that is just an amazing place. They have one officer that's dedicated to send all the messages and everything, or calls to our police department. We got to see how the calls were taken, and then how they were dispatched via the computer-aided dispatch system, and it's sent directly to each officer's computer. Then we also got to visit all of the areas of the communications center, and we also got to sit down and ask questions with their various people. One thing I will say is that they stressed at the 911 center is, if you have to call 911, make sure it's a true emergency, not one where I got a cat stuck in my tree, there's somebody walking down the street, with a backpack on. Those can be just called to the other extension, at the police department. The K-9 traffic unit, week 4, we met Officer Rogers and his partner, and it was just really cool because we got to see Officer Rudy get attacked by the dog, and it's amazing the impact that dog has at 50, 75 feet when he runs and hits the officer. So it was real interesting because the Officer Rudy was in a protective suit, but they wouldn't let any of us put the suit on. We volunteered a couple of people, we got voted down for that. So, and then also we got to review traffic law, radar, LIDAR, a DUI arrest, and accident investigations. And one thing about a DUI that people need to be aware of is a DUI stop and arrest in our city pulls one officer off his patrol for 4 hours. So if you have 2 officers that have 2 DUI arrests, there's 2 officers that are gone for 4 hours from the patrol protecting our citizens. And you keep in mind, we have 23,000 plus or minus residents on any given day. As we move forward in our city with the things going on in Camp Jordan, the Red Wolves and things like that, our population can go up anywhere from 5,000 to 10 to 12,000 on any given weekend or weekday. So we need to be aware of that, because it's great potential for the city, but there's also great risk for our officers out there with that many people coming in. So we just need to be aware of that. And then the traffic stops. We got to understand and do traffic stops ourselves, and we got lucky. We only had 1 officer that got shot during the process, but it really ramps up your heart rate, your adrenaline and rush and things like that, because it's a real life scenario. You have to pay attention to every movement that person in that car is making. And if their windows are tinted or you're not paying attention to your hands, in a split second you can get shot, or one of our officers could get shot. So just gave me a new respect for them, for traffic stops and what they have to go through there. Week 5, court services. That was an interesting week, because what you see out here in this courtroom, there's twice the activity going on behind the dais. And we got to go back there. We were one of the first pilot programs assigned by the DA, where we had our own district attorney in the house. And since then, they have added that to other cities. But what it does for us is it gave us the ability for them to be aware of repeat offenders and things like that. The district attorney could get with the as the accused lawyer, and they could cut deals back there and save the city time and money and get people expedited in that case, just a resolution to come to. Also, the courtroom security is very important for people that they pick up at Silverdale, at the county jail, and any other facilities, that if they pick up 20 people, they need to take 20 people back. And we've had, I think, one minor incident where somebody slipped out, but they did catch him real quick. So, and then we got to go in the back and see prisoners in the jails and things like that. We got an understanding of the different colors of the jumpsuits. There's yellow, orange, and a khaki color depending on where you're from, which jail facility is holding you. One Silverdale, one Hamilton County, the other is the women from the Silverdale jail. So it was really an interesting process. We got to ask the district attorney and his assistants questions, and then Judge Helton came back and talked to us and talked about just how much this process helped having a district attorney in-house on court night, because that really speeds the process up. Criminal Investigations Division. The main purpose of this division is to preserve evidence, and because that's critical as this case moves forward and comes to trial, because if the evidence is not preserved properly, then you have potential for that person to walk, and you got a criminal that's out there again back on the streets. We got to examine crime scene evidence and went through the process of how we would go about collecting it. And then we did a mock crime scene. And the first person in our group walked into the crime scene and walked through the blood. So that kind of got our attention that, we need to step back and pay attention to what's on the floor, pay attention to the windows, the body that was on the floor, various things like that, the type of guns that were used during the crime, the blood splatter on the walls and things like that. So it was just really an interesting process to do that. Week 7, Firearms Training Simulator. This is a very unique resource that Hamilton County has up on Highway 153. And what this does is this gives our police officers a real life scenario of what it's like to go into either a hostage situation or a crime event where an armed robbery or something's going on. And you really have to pay attention, because you got to make sure you don't shoot citizens or a hostage or anything like that. And for the most part, most of us survived it, and we got there without getting shot. But it was really, you could just feel your heart rate go up, your adrenaline go up, and it was just, we're so fortunate to have this, because our officers can go up there, they're assigned a key and things like that. They can go in on their own, and they don't need other people to go in with them. They go in, set the simulator scenario that they want, and it's just a fabulous resource tool that we have here in our area. And I would encourage everybody to look forward to that. The Warrants Division, they're in the jail term. The Warrants Division, you really don't understand what's entailed of taking that piece of paper and going to get somebody arrested. Okay, it's a long and in-depth process. Officer Spires, walked us through the things. He explained how sometimes, you might have to get in a car and drive to Kentucky to pick somebody up where they've been, a warrant had been served on them, or they were arrested while they were up there, and they're going to pick them up. It's not, just you go out and hand that piece of paper out. It's a very in-depth process. So it gave us an understanding of the arrest process. Then at the jail tour downtown, we got to see the intake and booking process. We got to see people being brought into jail that evening and processed. And one thing we learned is, our shirts were orange. Everything, all the jumpsuits at the jail were orange. So you had to make sure we didn't leave anybody behind there. But it was interesting, because you need to be aware that you're going to see and hear some things that you just really don't want to hear or see as you go through that process of those criminals in the jail. And it's a unique place, I will say that. Only place I want to spend any time. Firearms training. The most focus that we put on firearms training was the safety. Every gun that was handed to us was loaded when we got it. And that was our intention. But that's the way you treat any firearm. You treat it as if it's loaded. And the first thing we were doing was check, and all these guns were empty. We got to see the various types of firearms available to our SWAT team, our police officers, and suppressors on like the AR-15, on a 22. So it was really a unique concept to see all these, feel them and handle them before we went to the shooting range. On week 10, this was the culmination, the final day we had. We went to the Collinsdale shooting range that they have up there for their police officers, and we got a firearms demonstration. Officer Jeff Crow, a certified instructor, that's certified in the state of Tennessee to teach concealed carry classes. He was our range master, and we did one-on-one instruction and one-on-one shooting out there. And we've got some real cool pictures. Our photographer is not here tonight. Councilmember will get with her, have her show you the pictures. I'm sure that she would be glad to post some of them online. We got to watch her shoot a 12-gauge shotgun, a fully automatic rifle, pistols, and Andi had never touched a gun in her life that day. So it was one day, and she did, she did great. She really did. So, and we didn't shoot any of the airplanes flying over us or anything like that, but it was just a fun day, and we got.
Your picture was on all the silhouettes.
That wasn't mine.
But I would encourage all the citizens, if you get a chance, it's really a fun way to learn about our police department and spend time with them. So we got a great police department. We need to support them all we can. They get a bad rap a lot of times on Facebook, internet, and things like that. They're protecting the city. They're there to protect and serve. And, I appreciate them and I respect them. And for what it's worth, I do it again. I think our program's going to be better than Hampton County's because their programs, or Chattanooga City's, their program was only 2 hours long and 8 weeks, and ours was 10 weeks and 3 hours long. So as each class goes along, they will take and add to it, and they'll take some away. But Chief Allen and Lieutenant Bethel, I think it was a great time, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, I would like to thank Mayor Williams and Manager Dorsey and all the council members, especially Chief and Lieutenant Dustin and all the police officers that participated. It was really a great experience, and I would encourage every citizen to enroll in this course to learn about what these guys do and how they do it. And I'm glad to be a member of the first class. I appreciate it.
And this is a list of all the instructors, Chief Allen, Lieutenant Elselton, Lieutenant Stevenson, Lieutenant Creel, Sergeant Hewitt, Sergeant Prescott, Detective Bagg, Detective Massagale, his brother Eric Massagale, Corporal Spires, Corporal Stephen Rogers with the K-9, Corporal Jeff Crow, who was taught the firearms, Stephen Rudy, he was the person that the dog got to bite and wrestle down to the floor, Officer Cherry Smith, and Officer David Purchase. And one thing I did forget to mention is we're fortunate that we have our motorcycles here because that is such a great resource for traffic stops and things along that nature. And we know that East Ridge for the next couple of years with the things going on the interstate and all the change and so forth, that there's going to be a lot more traffic up and down Ringo Road, and we need to make sure that these officers have everything that they need for the support of the citizens. Our class, many of our classmates are here. Meredith Martin, Shelby Mitchell.
You want to have them come on up? Get a
Sure,
picture?
they'll come on up and get a picture because I know that they want to sell this and move forward. So.
Boy, those mud shots, most girls need mud shots.
In the class was Mickey Spence, Carol Wilson, Ray Sibley, Jared Long, Shelley Williams, and Shelley Mitchell, and then myself. So it was a great time.
I noticed that your wife almost said next to you.
No, she didn't even class.
Go ahead and pack it in, little sweetheart. One of us got to be good. You're a darn, trust me.
Thanks. Does anybody have any questions? Congratulations.
I do.
Okay.
Who were the first two public school shows?
I know one of their names, Garland Bradley. Familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, and the other one, we saw their picture, they told us the name, but that's been 12 weeks ago. But it was interesting that We had one car, 2 police officers, and they had to pay for everything themselves. That's my understanding. They had to pay for the gas, furnish the car, and all the equipment.
Well, we appreciate that. It's been a very, very great program for the Citizens Police Academy. We appreciate Mr. Allen, Chief Allen, and Senator Usleton for what they've done and the experience that it gave this first inaugural class. And again, they're going to continue this, and I think it's an amazing program, and we appreciate it very much, and all the effort that the police department put in each one of the class. So thank you very much. Thank you for the cadets that attended and graduated. Next, we have the presentation for our fiscal year 2019 audit. And that's
Want to say something, Diane?
from Mr. Martin and Mr. Hutchinson from HHM. Do you have anything to add?
No, I'm just gonna let them have the floor.
And thank you all so much for allowing us to perform the audit for the 2019 fiscal year. It's always a pleasure working on behalf of this council and the citizens of East Ridge. I always like to start off by talking about the audit process a little bit and how things went. I always let the council know that the only thing that's in this report, our audit report, is our opinion. These are you all's numbers. And so we found that you all take very good responsibility for your numbers. We didn't have any material entries this year at all. So thank you, Diane. That's an indication that the financials that you all get on a monthly basis are accurately correct. If we came in and proposed material entries to your numbers, then we would have questions about how you all are making decisions with bad numbers. So we didn't have that. We didn't have any material entries. So good job on that. We also didn't have any findings this year. We always like to report any findings or significant issues to the council that we found throughout the audit process, and we didn't have any of those either this year. There are 3 things I do want to make mention of, and Zach, feel free to jump in at any time. One thing is that you did go through a software conversion, and so in doing that, fixed assets, the records that you maintain, all the city's property, equipment, and land, and everything. That was a little bit of a challenge because of the upgrade. So we did have some adjustments there, but it's not an issue really. Diane, you were on top of it. I want to make mention of that to the council. The second thing being is that certain portion of your employees here, they have sick leave, vacation leave, and that number is, you don't cap it. So whatever you earn this year, you can continue to earn it down the road. So there's no cap on how much you carry over. So what that does, that creates a perpetual liability for the city of East Ridge, because if it's not capped, some of our governments have use it or lose it type programs, so there's no huge liability that continues to accrue. Looking at that, on page 29, the numbers there are what it is. It's also inside of your financial statements, but it's termed compensated absences. And so that number is continuing to grow every year because it's not capped. So if an employee has 10 hours year 1, they don't use it, they get 10 hours year 2, now they have 20 hours that the city's obligated to pay them if they were to leave.
Jason, I'll jump in and make one note on this. The reason that this is sort of becoming more of an issue now is that there are some employees who have been here a while and who just keep continuing to accrue and accrue and accrue without a cap. And you guys might find that at some point, if one of them leaves, you're cutting a check that is maybe a little bit bigger for that accrued vacation pay than what you might expect or what you might consider typical. Diane, I think you guys ran into that issue at one point this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir, we have this year.
So it's a liability. It's just like that. You owe it. If they leave, you have to pay them. So something to think about from this standpoint, from the council standpoint, the city manager standpoint. because it's rare, we don't see it often. We usually see a cap, or either employees need to take vacation time, especially in the accounting side of things. We like to see employees. It's a control standpoint as well too. If employees don't want to take vacation time on the accounting side, it's like, why don't they ever take time off? Is that are they trying to cover something? But on the non-accounting side, it's a benefit, and you want your employees to take advantage of the benefit. So, and the third thing is, earlier this year, we got a call from Diane about cash that was sitting in the police safe for a number of years. So, the county department did what they were supposed to do. They called the auditors, they called the state department, and they deposited it in cash. The state has a law, any cash that you collect within 3 days, it has to be in a bank account, period. So, not sure whether this cash was evidence. We didn't have a court order to tie it to. It was just cash in there, so we don't know how long it's been in there, but something that we noted. And I think now the process is completely changed.
Yes.
So cash comes in, it's deposited the same day. You figure out where it goes later, but get it out of that safe. So it's the best there as well. So now to the numbers on the financial statements. One thing I always like to do, I always like to take a look at your balance sheet and income statement per se. On pages 12 and 13 is your balance sheet that's there. Total governmental funds, you ended the year with $6.4 million in cash, and a little over $500,000 in investments. Your property tax receivable was in line there. Some other receivables due from other funds. So you ended the year with about almost $50 million in total assets on a governmental basis. Now, this does not include your property and equipment that you own. On the liability side, you ended the year with about $2.5 million in total liabilities, and a deferral is there. So total equity, fund balance rather, was about $7.1 million. Now I'll put this into perspective for you. On the general fund side, that's your chief operating fund of the city of East Ridge, and so that's your main operating fund. And so you ended the year there with almost $5 million worth of equity. Now, to give you perspective on where that number stands, all the experts in GFOA in the state of Tennessee and healthy government should have about between 2 to 4 months of reserve on hand. East Ridge has a little over 4 months, so you're at the top of that range, which is good. It's always a challenge to meet needs of any government and maintain appropriate savings on hand, so that 2 to 4 months. And there are a lot of different things that could sway that percentage per se. For instance, if you were on the Midwest and had a lot of tornadoes and things that come through, I would say those governments need a ton more fund balance on hand to cover those costs. And East Ridge is not too far removed from it. I think in 2012 and 13 there were some tornadoes that came through, and FEMA doesn't reimburse you next day. It takes years. I think in this case it was almost 3 years.
Yeah, it was 3, almost 4.
4 years, and they reimburse you only a percentage too, not the full thing. So we need to have a healthy reserve on hand, and East Ridge certainly has that. So on your net income side, page 15 and 16, I'll focus on the general fund a little bit. Your total revenues for the year was right at $13 million. Your expenditures of 14.4, and you had some other financing sources, which are some transfers in and out, debt proceeds and things of that nature. So general fund, your fund balance decreased about $367,000. Still have a healthy fund balance. I think the revenues didn't come in as we quite anticipated for this past year that we budgeted. So I think you're making those corrections now, being a little conservative on your revenue side. Capital projects fund, that operates kind of fluidly from year to year. You save up money one year and then you spend it all the next year. So you can have huge swings in that. Your solid waste fund is one that essentially should cover its own operations.
You charge a rate for sanitation, per se, and you spend those dollars and you maintain those. So sanitation fund, you had an increase in fund balance. And you really do need that because capital expenditures can be a lot. Garbage trucks aren't cheap. I think a couple of years ago you paid $80,000 for one. So you need some reserves to handle those costs over time. Page 18, we can talk about your budget for a little while and go over those numbers as well. Your total revenues, you were aggressive on the budget side of your revenues, and 14.2 is where you ended up. You collected 13, so we were short on collections or on revenues. On the expense side, you see your total expenditures that are there, and that overage was there because of the Exit 1 payment that occurs every year. That's a requirement that the city has to make, and so I think Diane is making that change to budget for that this year. What you budget for tonight, you owe that payment. And so you made the payment, it wasn't captured in the budget, so there's a shortage there. That's going to be corrected this year. But other than that, standards didn't change this year. In the past, we always have new standards that we have to abide by during the audit process and the reporting process, but no new standards this year. So with that, anything else that?
No, I think that we've covered it all pretty well. We went over the three things that we found. We went over the financials, so that's good.
So any questions, any comments, Diane, to add, or Chris, anything to add to?
No, I appreciate the thorough review of this. As you mentioned with the revenues, we knew when we started the budget process this year that the revenues were overestimated last year. We corrected that issue as we went through the budget process this year. So I'm more confident with the numbers that we have this year, don't you?
Yes.
So we appreciate that. And the fact of the leave, I'm glad you pointed that out because you mentioned that before, that we have that uncapped amount of leave. I think it's been around since 2012.
2012, that's for the employees after 2012. They don't have a cap, and it needs to be, we need to put one in place.
Discuss during this year's budget process.
Because if they leave, we are paying out a large chunk of money if they haven't taken any time.
2012, employees hired after that, they were the only ones that's uncapped. Everybody before that
Yes, sir.
still capped at 320.
Right. Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Have a great evening, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We're very blessed to have a very good finance director. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. I have a really good staff that I work with also.
All right. We'll now move into item 4. Our consent agenda. I assume that everyone's had a moment to read the minutes of November 14th regular council meeting and the October 2019 financial report and declaration of surplus property. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Chauncey and a second from Councilmember Cagle. Do you have any discussion or any corrections? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we will move into communications from citizens. This is an opportunity for any citizen, business owner in East Ridge that would like to come forward and and address the council with any questions, concerns, or any comments. We don't have anybody that's actually wrote in on the sign-in sheet, so if there's anyone in the audience that would like to come forward, yes, sir. Please give us your name and your address.
My name is Carnell Story, live at 620 Melville. You're going to think this is crazy. Could I buy my own speed humps? Because those little soccer moms coming home from Brainerd Christian, if they're not doing 50 and 60 in front of my house sometimes, it gets scary. And when Arvin was here, he said, yeah, you can do it, but you gotta pay for it yourself. So if that's possible, would you let me know?
I can answer that. Go ahead. Unfortunately, our insurers discourage that because that becomes an inherent defect in the road.
I wasn't gonna use spikes.
But because of that, they discourage us from doing that because I think even in Chattanooga, they put some speed humps in at one point. I'm a cyclist, but they do a lot of cycling over on the Red Bank side over in that area by Mountain Creek. Somebody had gone over one of the speed humps over there and severely hurt themselves. And there was a major lawsuit dealing with that. I don't believe the outcome was. But even before that, the insurers have said, because we're not self-insured, like Chattanooga is self-insured, but with us not being, they have discouraged us from doing that. However, we have other preventative measures that we can take, whether it's speed detection devices or things of that nature to go out there and help with the enforcement in that areas. Please
Well, I will go home with a broken heart tonight, Mr. Dorsey.
To add to that, I think where you see some of these is probably in a private road, private neighborhood, and it's not a city or a state road. Is that what you would probably say? Because I see some in other locations, but there's probably it's a private road, or
if it's a private or a PUD, a planar development, then I guess if it's a road, it's not a city road, we don't have any control of it.
That's correct. That's kind of what I was putting there.
Yes.
But not on any of our city roads. Okay. So anyone else?
Were we supposed to sign in?
No. You're good. Anyone else? Well, I'm gonna address them in a little bit. Okay. All right. That's okay. I'm sorry. Probably should have communicated better about that. So if there's no one else, we'll then move into communication from council members. And I'll start on this side. Councilman Cagle, do you have anything?
Yes, sir. I got this thank you note from Mr. Bob Neville. I'm sure all y'all got one. And it really amazed me that they had 980 patients that received care down there. That's dental, vision, and medical care. And they estimated that value of $480,000. Folks, that's a lot of free medical advice, free medical, free dental, free vision. Ram Medical does a fantastic job, and I'd like to thank them for bringing it here, and I'd like to thank the council for letting us partner with them to come here. Got to keep them coming every year.
Absolutely. It's every other year, and they've already booked for the following year, correct? Yes. And it's amazing. If you hadn't been down there while it was going on, it's just phenomenal, the way that they have it organized and bringing people through and giving them free medical. Like you said, it's amazing. We do appreciate the service that they provide our community. Have anything else?
No, sir.
Councilmember
Yes,
Johnson?
Mayor and Council. A few months ago, I had agreed to serve on a committee. It's called the Future Ready Institutes of Hamilton County. Future Ready Institutes of Hamilton County, it's an organization that's working closely with the East Ridge High School students. And they've got numerous boards formed. The one I actually had agreed to be on, what their missions, one of their mission statements is, what they try to do is prepare students for post-secondary life through real-world experiences. And they work with the kids and they put on various field trips for different things. What they do is they take about 140 kids and they have each one take like a type of a survey where they outline different types of career paths. And so each student gets to choose which career path that they are most interested in. And what they're asking for the city and the council to do is to organize a type of a field trip down here at City Hall, preferably before the school year ends. I told them that I would try tentatively to have something put together in the springtime. And I have all the details here, so it'll be in city manager can meet sometime, maybe the first of the year, we could go over some of the details. And I've got a lot of things that we had in mind. We're trying to shoot for something more than just a tour through City Hall. We're trying to put together like someone mentioned maybe a mock session here in the courtroom, maybe a mock council meeting, maybe interact with some of the students that come. There's going to be about approximately 20 kids that come. They're actually going to walk from the school up here. And actually, and my idea was to put something together that's going to keep them keep their attention throughout the whole process. And the good thing about that is when I told you about the survey they took, out of 140 kids, there's about 20 kids that chose public service. So the 20 kids that we're going to invite down here to City Hall are already interested in public service. So again, I just want to run that by the council, and I'll try to get with Mr. Dorsey here to go over some of the details. Again, hopefully we'll try to put together something by springtime. That's all I have.
I think it's a great idea. We briefly talked about that a while back, and then down here, there's definitely one of them want to be the mayor, so I think it's amazing they're interested and they're wanting to serve their community. It's awesome. Anything else, sir?
That's all there. Thank you. One other thing, just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right. I'll make it brief. I know we're running a little bit long tonight, but one of the things I wanted to cover is we completed our strategic planning session. I'm very, very pleased at what we came up with. The strategic planning session was to gather and create a mission statement for our city, conduct an environmental scan, create a vision statement, and start setting some goals for short-term goals at this point, since we had just started this planning session, and then eventually do some longer-term goals later. But very pleased with, we had all the council input, and I think it was very productive. I think we had very good results from that. We've created a mission statement. We did conduct our environmental scan, and then we created a vision statement. And we'll publicize this later, just in the shortness of time, I won't go over that. And then we also established 5 goals that we're actively going to start working on. So we'll get that published pretty soon. I think we got the information back from MTAS, and we'll disseminate that through the council, and then we'll get it out for the public and everything. But very, very tickled over that, having that done, and looking forward into the future is great. If you don't have a roadmap and a plan, you don't have a roadmap or a plan or a direction. And I think we're doing a great job of setting that. East Ridge City Library, movie night tomorrow night. Is that where it is? Oh. Wear your PJs, they say, and you can come collect reindeer food, enjoy popcorn and hot chocolate bar on them. And the movie is a young man embarks on a magical adventure to the North Pole.
Okay. You ever seen the movie? Then you would know that one.
Okay. We can't say the movie.
No.
But we can allude to it. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, this is the last meeting for the community, East Ridge Community Food Bank Drive that we are doing. So I appreciate everyone that's actually come and donated with non-perishable items and or cash donations. It is greatly appreciated. And continue to keep them in your thoughts and continue contributing if you can. It's a great organization that is feeding a lot of families, I think over 600 children, and a lot of families that are in need in our community. And with that, I'm going to move into the beginning of next year. In January, the first meeting is the next organization and charity that I would like to bring forward at this point is the Friends of East Ridge Animal Services. It's a nonprofit organization that's comprised of dedicated volunteers who strive to help animals in our area to live the quality of life that they deserve. And then I've got members here of that organization. I'd like them to just briefly tell you a little about it. They're going to have a box that we'll start putting out next council meeting that you can bring cat food, dog food. You can explain what type of donations you accept. You also have an office that you can drop things off. You also do auctions, but I'll let you talk about that for a few minutes.
Okay. We're Friends of East Ridge Animal Services. Most people know us just as Friends. We're located at 1232A Greens Lake Road, right here in East Ridge. We have a monthly sale at this building, and 100% of items sold are donated from lots of different people, and 100% of the proceeds go to the funds to support our cause. We'd like to share a few things that we've done in the past few weeks to help animals in need. Pam Vandergrift is one of our supporters that has a senior dog rescue. It's called For the Love of Dogs. She's had it for many years, and it's in Saudi Daisy. She recently took in 8 senior Chihuahuas that were dumped in a crate in rural Georgia. We donated $300 to her rescue to help with the medical needs of these dogs. We continue to provide all of the heartworm treatment for all of the dogs at East Ridge Animal Services. We also provide, for every dog that's adopted, they get a collar and a leash. We just purchased 5 new Corunda beds. These are the beds that are actually in where the dogs stay. We purchased 5 new beds at a cost of $350. Now we'd like to show you some pictures so you could have some faces to go with some of the animals that we've recently helped. Yeah. Piper was adopted from East Ridge Animal Shelter. Piper is the dog that was adopted from East Ridge Animal Shelter. And he is adored by his new people. However, that's Piper. Piper is a fence jumper, and Piper has very high separation anxiety. So he can't be left outside, and the crate that they bought him, he destroyed the crate, he destroyed everything in the house. And so East Ridge Animal Shelter reached out to us for help, and we were gladly willing to help them. So we purchased a crate it's a high anxiety crate. I have one for one of my crazies. And it's a heavy duty crate, and it was $300. We recently spoke to Piper's people, and they are very happy. He's not very happy. He doesn't like being contained, but he's safe, and their property is not destroyed. We're always happy whenever the shelter reaches out to help with these kind of animals, because these kind of animals are difficult for people to adopt. They take a lot of time, effort, understanding, a lot of love, a lot of patience. So it's hard for people to adopt these kind of dogs. We also, for these kind of, we bought crates. We paid for training for the dogs. We bought special collars for these kind of dogs. So, and fencing.
Yes.
Fencing, we've actually physically went out and put up fencing for some of these animals. Our latest project has been with a lady that lives on East Ridge Avenue. We've provided igloos and barn huts so that the cats that she feeds all these stray cats. So we've provided shelter for these cats so they have a warm place to sleep in the winter months. We recently started trapping these cats last Sunday so that every cat in the colony will be either spayed or neutered to stop with overpopulation of cats in the area. We trapped 5 cats on Sunday. They are in your packet. And in order, they are Midnight, Copper, Panther, Ruby, and Baxi. And they have all been fixed, so no more babies, no more cats. It will be one unaltered cat, one female unaltered cat can produce 2,500 cats. If you start with one cat, and that cat, that cat can have 5 or 6 or however many in a litter. You can just add, and up to 2,500 cats from one cat. So they have been spayed and have been fully vetted as well. So these cats were released, picked up, taken Monday and released Tuesday back into their environment. and we paid for the extra bedding, so they'll be healthy. We went to Chattanooga because they right now have a grant, so we didn't have to pay for this spay, which saved our group money that we can use on other things, but we did pay for the bedding for these cats. Our mission as a group is to strive to do everything we can to give animals in our area the quality of life they deserve.
Thank you so much.
You.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
What type of donations, cat food, dog food, do you take?
We'll take whatever. We would like to try to get some cat food to help, like with the people that feed the colonies. People don't realize how much money these people spend trying to feed these cats, and it's, you know, so, and dog food also, so,
Okay.
you know.
And cash.
Cash, oh, we love cash.
Cash works.
Cash always works.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you all very much for what you do. All right, that's all that I have, other than I'm going to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So now moving into Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you. And actually, you didn't talk about a single thing on my list today. That's a record, I think. First, I want to start with, I need to hand this out to the council, please. This is a memo from the State of Tennessee Comptroller. Make sure I say this correctly. He's just one.
Just the attorney.
He's just the attorney. This is something that it's supposed to be delivered to the council members. This is notification that the comptroller has received our request for the debt service, or for the debt that we're going to incur on the police vehicles coming up, a 4-year capital note. That's not to exceed the $132,748. If you go, you'll get some time later on to read through this packet. If you have any questions, you can let us know. Basically, it just says that that what we're doing meets the state guidelines for being able to borrow the money. And it talks about the fact that when we have debt, that we, at that point, have to be able to send our budgets in every year to the state comptroller for approval to obviously make sure we have money budgeted to pay our debts. And we're already doing that anyway, every year. But I have to make sure that I give this to you all, and the other two will put it in their box and make sure it's on the record that I've discussed it and that I've handed it out to the council. Item 1, anything else I need on that, or is that good?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 2, and this also from the comptroller. I'll let you talk about this, because I was not involved in this one. I'm involved in next year's. The letter about the budget.
Well, that is just approving our FY 2020 budget that we're halfway through.
Yes, we have to turn that in as part of the debt obligation, and the comptroller reviews our budget, and basically our budget passed muster, so that's good.
Those are the kind of letters you want to get from the comptroller.
Right. Yes. So just want to make sure you all knew that that happened as well. Number 3, I had a visitor today that stopped in with a couple checks from ASA Engineering that wanted to make a couple donations for the year. They've had some clients within the city of East Ridge here, and they wanted to be able to give back to the community for part of what they've been able to do. They have given us a check for $2,500 for the East Ridge Animal Shelter to be able to use. So we're going to be amending the resolution tonight on that to include that donation. They also gave us a check for $2,500 for the East Ridge Community Food Pantry. Let's help with that. I know you're winding that down tonight, so that's a good way to finish that out for you. So I want to thank ASA Engineering for their generosity and helping the organizations here that help service East Ridge. So we really appreciate that. Lastly, I just want to talk for a quick second to let you all know up here at the council that I have this week put out an internal posting for our police chief position, which means basically I'm confident we have some qualified individuals within our own department that could lead this department. So I've done the posting just on an internal basis. It's just running through this Friday, and hopefully we'll be able to do some interviews in the next week and a half or so before the new year starts to be able to have a police chief selected. I've been able to do that because, as you all know, a little over 2 weeks ago, The personnel appeal process was finally finished by me, dealing with former Chief J.R. Reed. I have held this termination. Just a little over 2 weeks ago that we did that. And so because of that, that position is officially now open. So we were able to go ahead and do the internal posting on that. So we are, like I said, moving forward, doing the process for the new chief, and hope to have one on board very soon. And that's all I have.
Okay. Yes, a great, big thank you to Ace Engineering for those two donations. It's amazing. Appreciate them. We'll move into old business. Item A, ordinance number 1119.
This is an ordinance of the City Council, City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the properties located at 1018 and 1022 Leclerc Drive, tax map number 156-N-J-101 and 101.01, 010.02, 011.02, C2 Commercial District, and R2, and R1 Residential District, RZ1 Zero Lot Line Residential District, and RT1 Residential Townhome District.
This will be second and final reading. Hey, that's why I bring these. All right, so I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1119.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1119.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Cagle and a second by Councilman Chauncey. Do we have any questions?
Mister, do we foresee any problem getting permission to come in on this property to pick up the garbage? We were supposed to get a letter of, so we wouldn't be picking it up on that little narrow street.
I haven't received anything on that.
Right.
But
I
we
haven't
need
seen-
permission from the developer,
Correct.
a waiver.
Because it's private road. If he wants garbage service on that street, he'll have to give us a
So the
waiver.
point is, he still will have to when that point comes. It would have to be from the
He
individual
won't have garbage
residents.
service unless he,
Well,
Yes.
it's just like you were talking about, putting it on the back side of those houses. And that street is a little bitty narrow thing. It's, I don't know if y'all drove up our.
Yeah, I have.
It's a mess. So,
But in order for it to happen, he will have to.
I believe the developer was here, and we discussed that with him.
I didn't think he had a
didn't
problem.
see a problem
Yeah.
with it. No, he'll do whatever.
but I don't think, well, you have to comment if he's actually, I don't think he's gave that to us yet.
No, well, because it'll also have to be from the, after it's over, it has to be from the individual property owners too.
Well,
You get a
okay.
waiver from, because they're the ones that will be owning those properties and have to be responsible for the maintenance of the roads, I guess, their HOA and all that.
Right. Okay. Any other questions?
Unless
Anybody
Warren
else?
says something different, that's what I would say.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
yes,
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item B, ordinance number 1120.
An ordinance of the City Council, City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 1507 Rebecca Drive, tax map number 169-J-A-022.01, from R1 Residential District to R3 Residential Apartment District.
And this will also be the second and final reading. So I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1120.
motion to approve ordinance 1120.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Cagle and a second by Councilmember Chauncey. Do you have any questions? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes,
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item C, resolution number 3000.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, memorializing the appointment of Mayor Williams of an individual to the East Ridge Planning Commission.
Yes, I spoke along with our chairman of the Planning Commission, Councilman Chauncey, with Dana Howe, who is in the audience. And I am very excited to nominate Dana to the East Ridge Planning Commission. She is originally from Kentucky. She chose to put her roots down here in East Ridge after living in Colorado for 10 years. She is the Retailer Relations Manager at Grassroots Outdoor Alliance. That's a business resource organization that works with independently owned retailers across the country. She also serves as the board of director for the Outdoor Industry Association. She also serves on the Natural Treasures Alliance and Thrive Regional Partnership and Georgia Outdoor Recreation Coalition. She's passionate about our small business and smart growth and how the outdoor parks and recreation promote positive community change and economic development. And I'm very excited to have her joining our Planning Commission. Thank you for your service.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we remove this from the table and vote on it.
Oh, is it on the table?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for keeping us in check. Okay, we have a motion to remove it from the table.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Now that it's off the table, reiterate what I just said. I'd like to point Dana Howe. So I'll entertain a motion to memorialize that appointment.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Chauncey and a second from Councilmember Cagle. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. And thank you, Councilman Cagle. I guess you can jump, just got excited and just forgot all about we had tabled that. You didn't see it. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Ms. Howe, for offering your service to our city. We'll move into new business. Item A, ordinance number 1121.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee to amend ordinance number 1028, which amended the East Ridge zoning ordinance, ordinance number 481, relative to signs, section 110, off-premise signs, subsection D, setbacks, and subsection E, spacing of signs. First reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and pull this ordinance, if I may, please. I talked to TDOT about this and trying just to shore up a couple items, and it brought up other questions that I didn't anticipate. And rather than do something haphazardly, I'd like to make sure that we do it correctly when we need to. So I'd like to ask if I could just pull this ordinance.
Do we need to do,
I mean,
just
pull it.
Just pull
all
it.
it needs to do at this point is just be pulled because it's just simply on as an agenda item to consider. At this time, it's been
Okay.
moved to pull. That's fine.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City Manager, could you inquire about, I was going to ask this tonight about this. I know KDOT controls everything on the freeway. Okay? And I'm wondering about 41 Highway, even though we call it Mingo Road, do they control the?
TDOT controls both of those, but you can have a layer of local zoning and regulations on top of that as well.
On freeway plus Ringo Road?
Right, because Ringo Road is also called State Route 8.
Right.
So it's still a state highway, so yes, sir.
All right. We'll pull that. We'll move to item B, resolution 3005.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, awarding bids for the installation of equipment for 4 2020 police pursuit SUVs on all-wheel drive for the police department.
Yes, Mayor, Council, we put out bids, opened the bids on December 3rd. We got 4 bids back on installation of the equipment of our 4 new SUVs that'll be here next year. The lowest and best bid was from Truckers Lighthouse, $23,850.08. In addition to that, the cars that we're getting from Lonnie Cobb Ford, they can be shipped directly to Truckers Lighthouse and have the equipment installed and then brought to us after that. The only thing we will need to do after those vehicles get here is to stripe the 2 marked cars.
I done asked the chief this, but I'm gonna ask him openly now. You foresee getting these cars by what date?
In April.
April.
We ordered the cars in October after our bid process, and I got a letter about 3 weeks ago from Lonnie Cobb Ford that said that they had gotten a memo from Ford Motor Company that vehicles were being delivered 6 months from date of order until they arrived. So they should get those in about the middle of April and should be directly shipped to Truckers Lighthouse for that vehicle.
Okay. Now, the reason why I asked that was, I noticed in this, that just handed out, that these bonds have to be spent within 6 months. Correct?
No, well, that is for the vehicles themselves. This is for the equipment.
Right. I know, but we're not gonna pay for the vehicles till we get them, are we?
Right.
Okay, so we don't get them till, they don't get them till the end of April, and we don't get them till the 1st of May, then that's gonna put the border on this right here within 6 months.
Well, we're paying for the equipment out of the drug fund. It won't be part
I
of that.
understand that, but I'm talking about the 132,000. This is concerned.
Right, well, you're in December, so April's only, it's 5 months. And we would probably have to pay when they get to that point, because that's the shipping point. It probably wouldn't be when it gets to us, we'll probably pay for when they get to Truckers Lighthouse.
The money to pay for the vehicles will go to the Ford dealer, and that will be separate from the upfit.
Timeline is when we're gonna pay.
Right, we would pay them when Truckers Lighthouse gets them.
When they get that, that's basically getting them delivered to us, is when they go to Truckers Lighthouse.
Yes.
Do we have any other questions? Then I'll ask for a motion for resolution number 3005.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Chauncey and a second by Councilmember Cagle. Do you have any other discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item C, resolution 3006.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee to waive the fee for Ronald McDonald House Charities for use of the Camp Jordan Amphitheater and track for the Karen Lawrence 5K Run and Walk for Kids.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Ronald McDonald's House Charities of Greater Chattanooga, they're a 501c3 nonprofit, and they're requesting the use of the amphitheater and the track at Camp Jordan on Saturday, January the 18th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. to host the Karen Lawrence 5K Run and Walk for Kids. And they're requesting that the council waive the fees for the use of the amphitheater on that day.
Thank you, sir. Entertain a motion for resolution 3006.
Motion to approve resolution 3006.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Cagle and a second by Councilman Chauncey. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Item D, resolution 3007.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city to accept a donation from Susan Peruso from the East Ridge Animal Shelter.
Ms. Claus, looks like you're being nominated to speak.
Yes, we will also at this time need to amend it to reflect the $2,500 that we just received from AC Engineering.
Okay. This is awesome. We want to thank Ms. Peruso for her generous donation and to ASA for the additional funds toward our East Ridge Animal Shelter.
I understand she gives quite often. This lady, about every year, she makes a donation to them. And I think they're going to use it for some outside fencing wall type stuff.
And now they have an additional $2,500.
I know.
Oh, wow.
Crystal will be excited.
Yes. All right, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 3007.
You need to vote to amend it.
Oh, we need to vote, yeah. So I'll entertain
I can make a motion to approve Resolution 3007 with the amended amount of $2,500 towards the East Ridge Animal Shelter.
Promesa. You can do that? Okay. Awesome. All right, with amendment. Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. So we have a motion from Councilwoman Chauncey and a second by Mayor Williams. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is this resolution to amend to add this money to the budget, or is this resolution to accept the money?
This is the resolution, this is the resolution will accept the funds, but you will, when we talk about the next meeting, there's a memo that talks about amending the budget to reflect the 2,000. I'll fix that to be for 4,500.
4,500. Okay. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item E, Resolution 3008.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager to enter into an interlocal agreement transferring the East Ridge athletic facilities to the Hamilton County, Tennessee Board of Education.
Can we cover this? All right, so I've had several conversations over the period of several months with Coach James, who had to leave, and Tucker McClendon, who's our Hamilton County Board of Education member, 8 district, about they are wanting to create and construct a field house and a weight room at the high school. They had come up with some additional funds, I believe, in this budgeted year, Mr. Clinton is telling me, and with those funds and the additional funds that the Alumni Association has pledged toward the construction of that, they've got a good start, if not be able to complete a structure or structures there at the high school. With that being said, the location for their desired location for the structure or structures would be on some of the athletic property that is currently, the deed is owned by the city of East Ridge. So, in discussions with the city manager and others, we do not want to stand in the way of progress, and we think it's a very good opportunity to provide some facilities for the school, for the school student body and the students. So we are put together this resolution to enter into a second interlocal, to rescind the first one, to give back the property to the Board of Education. Gentlemen, correct me if I miss anything here. But we did put some provisions in. We had spent some money and we had actually bettered the tennis courts. We resurfaced them, put some netting up, repaired some of the fencing, and we're utilizing those tennis courts. So what we've done is put some provisions into this second interlocal that we feel confident we'll get an agreement with the Board of Education members to protect those 4 tennis courts, and so they will not be built upon or done away with or destroyed. And even the verbiage is, if they decide later that they want to use that property for something other than the tennis courts, then they actually will have to construct additional courts in the same variance as we currently have for in another location for the city and the citizens to utilize. So with that being said, we have this interlocal in your handout, your book, and we have this resolution 3008 for consideration from this council to enter into the second interlocal and provide that land deed back to the Department of Education. Anything you'd like to add?
No, you covered it, Mayor.
So, normally I'll ask for a motion in a second, but if we want to have some discussion on this prior, I'll entertain that at this point.
I got a question. I I just want to be clear, I guess, in the agreement that we have in regards to the tennis courts. I'm a big advocate of getting those things refurbished, and they've been used more in the this past summer than they've probably been used over the past 10 years. So if, in the event that they take the existing tennis courts now, if they have to remove them or build upon them, they have agreed to construct new tennis courts they've agreed to construct new tennis courts on the East Ridge High School campus, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Of equivalency.
Right, well, new tennis courts, and it would be prior to the repurposing, so we would get those done before.
Before they took the four that's there.
Okay. I just, I'm just kind of worried that they may just say, well, throw 2 tennis courts up over in the corner. Well, right now we've got 4, and I just want to be sure that in the event that this does happen, that we're not responsible for finding another piece of property outside of the East Ridge campus, and it will be, in fact, on that campus, and we will have at least 4 courts.
That's right.
Yeah, we have the same passion, and we've had several iterations, and we're also preserving the actual hours of use. So we'll still have continued use of that while school, right? Not during school hours, but after school hours.
I'm very much in favor of this. I know we've spent an excess or an average of $60,000 to $70,000 a year maintaining the athletic facilities right now, so we could possibly put that money towards something else. And I'm completely in favor of the East Ridge finally getting their field house. So, if this is the agreement, will this become public knowledge at some time, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It is? Yeah.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
this is all the details
yeah.
of the whole document.
Yeah, this has been shared with Mr. McClendon and even Commissioner Boyd.
We agree on this tonight, and it's done deal, or is it gonna?
It'll still have to go.
It'll still go before the Board of Education.
They'll have to
Mr. Bennett.
Anything changes,
We'll be notified of it. If there's any changes, we'll come back and address it. But for Mr. Bennett, he certainly couldn't guarantee, but he certainly felt confident that he's satisfied with at least the agreement as we have it drafted here tonight.
And Mr. Bennett explained who Mr. Bennett is.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bennett is the board attorney, Mr. Scott Bennett. Nice gentleman. He's worked well, and we got this kind of hammered out the last day or 2 here shortly, and we've got it done.
Just want to have some of the same concern Mr. Chauncey did, so I called the city attorney today, and the verbiage back here is that they will replace the tennis courts, that they will replace them before they demolish.
Absolutely.
Have them back. So
Absolutely.
I want to be clear of that when I call the attorney today. So.
Yeah, we didn't want to go into a period where it could be 2, 3, 6 months before, and we do without. So we wanted to ensure that prior to demolition or construction upon, that they would then reconstruct new tennis courts for us. Any other questions? Roll call, Ms. Middleton. Well, do we have a motion? Yeah, I circumvented that. I usually don't. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 3008?
Not motion to approve Resolution 3008.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Cagle and a second by Councilmember Chauncey. Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Trying to expedite this and get us out of here. But y'all keep me honest. All right. Item L, Resolution 3009.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute a storage agreement with Chattanooga Professional Soccer Management, LLC. You want me to go? This matter relates to the storage of sports equipment and what I understand to be kind of a mobile sports locker rooms, as we know, team benches, and these were prefabricated type sports equipment and other types related to soccer operations. It's well known that Chattanooga Red Wolves are coming to the City of East Ridge, and they are in the process of completing that transition. and you can see it on the interstate. There's a lot of construction going on their site, and they need at this time a place to temporarily store some of the equipment that they have related to their soccer operations. And they asked the city if there was any ability that they could store the stuff on the city area nearby, and the city has agreed that, look, we want to partner with this operation because of the impact it's having in this community, and to be a good neighbor and a good partner with the Red Wolves, we would agree to enter into a storage agreement where they could store their equipment. The bleachers, as I understand it, would be up on the actual Osborne soccer field, and then there may be some stuff, I think isn't there a fenced area back there, Mr. Wilson, that they'll put the equipment that's at least in the fenced area.
Correct.
It's not going to interfere.
We have a maintenance lot with its fenced in.
Right, and it's not going to interfere with the use of the field, and so the Red Wolves have said that would be accommodate their needs right now while they're transitioning their operations to the city.
So we're gonna be using the storage across the street from where you've got this red square here?
Right, originally, yes, the Red Square Exhibit A is a location of the field. The actual storage will be, really, I guess, is it in the photo right there? This is a GIS map. Oh, that's it right there, okay, yeah. So other fields will be in that field. There was a discussion at one time, I think even Mr.
It's going to be in the lot, I think. The lot is why it's fenced.
Correct.
Right. Mayor Williams asked in connection with this, as it came out, would this be fenced in, or would we need to have to put up a fence or anything? And the response was there's already a fence at the maintenance area, so there wouldn't have to be a new one put up here for the storage. Except for the developer said he would put the bleachers along that. Well, I know somewhere on the outside of the playing field, but the bleachers.
Right. So it wouldn't impede any of the use of the stadium field.
Correct. And as I talked to city staff, I asked them with the erection of those bleachers interrupt anything, and they said, well, it's really the winter months between now and February. And as I understand it, the developer intends to have his operations up by that point, so they wouldn't need, they wouldn't be in the way. In other words, it wouldn't interfere with the stadium right now because there's nothing going on out there.
How much are they gonna be stored in that fenced-in lot over there? Because that's where we've got the old fire hall stored that we paid X number of thousands of dollars to have tore down.
From what I understand, it was the stuff came from the CCS operations. I haven't seen the equipment, but I understand from what was in there is what's going to go into the storage area.
So we're gonna have to move our old fire hall out, or then it's gonna come in and unload on top of it.
So is there enough room, I think, is what?
Well, our staff have actually just recently cleaned that lot out and reorganized. There's quite a bit of space in there, so I don't foresee any problems storing any of the equipment inside. Reorganized everything in that lot, so it looks a lot better and a lot more space.
Is this equipment gonna be used on the new stadium over here?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Talking with the developer, he said they're still transitioning everything over. He said this time they just need to get storage while they're still working on the transition to East Ridge. And I said, okay. If this is just a storage agreement, that's what we would go with at this time.
And they'll carry insurance on it, and we have no liability unless we cause any damage directly.
Right, it would have some directly caused by our employees, but he's carrying insurance on the equipment while it's being stored there. Right?
Of course, we'll need to change the date.
Oh, yes. Councilman Cable called me today and notified me in connection with the agreement. If you look on page 2, right there, the rental terms. When I was preparing this, I think I was preparing it on November 26th, and so I think that was an autofill, and we would make that as effective of today's date.
I think that was the meeting that we didn't have. right after Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving?
That may have
was the
been.
date you
You're
were,
right.
okay.
But yeah, Councilman Cagle, he did alert me to that earlier today.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 3009.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Chauncey and a second from Councilmember Cagle. Do we have any other discussion?
No, about us not charging these people to store this, I just don't see why we should be held on any liability to damage for the discretion of who done it, whether you done it, you done it, I done it. I don't like that to where we're saying that we're gonna be liable. Who's gonna determine whether the city employee's done it, or it's done while it's unloading, or so if somebody jumps the fence and spray paints it,
I guess the proof would be on them whether.
Well, if somebody were to do something like that, if it's an employee that actually bumped into it, they're limited to the repair cost. As I understood it, it would be stored out of a way that really isn't going to be in the way of subject to exposure. If someone were to jump it unbeknownst to us, that liability falls on the owner because this only applies if our employees actually do something to damage the equipment. And so after we talk, I've talked with the developer, and he understands that he's carrying liability on this. If something were to happen, he knows he's carrying it. If our employees were to go do something, which I don't think we have an expectation of our employees going and doing, then it would be covered by the city. I don't know that there would be any way really to indemnify or protect the city against an intentional act of our employees if they went in there and did something. We'd still be liable for that act. And if it's a negligent act, as I understand it, it's out of the way enough that I don't think there's an exposure that that's going to happen. And so the developer was pleased with this, but it's up to this body if you all decide that you want to modify that. I don't know how well it will stand up, because you can really absolve something that you're almost, if you say we can't be liable at all, you're almost giving a license to somebody to go do something and turn around and say, hi, you can't make us liable. And so I don't know that it would stand up anyway.
But to your point, if this wasn't in there and someone, a city employee did that, we'd still be liable whether it was in this agreement or not.
Very likely you would be.
Now, I can guess that their insurance company won't cover it, so that leaves out the loophole. It's covered. Their insurance won't cover it. If we were to take that out, their insurance wouldn't cover it.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to
their
cover it.
insurance is putting us as second on their insurance policy.
Well, I think if I understand the question is, if we take it out and we go do it, I don't know that their insurance would pick it up anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd pick it up if our employees go and do something to the equipment. I didn't find it to be as big a risk simply because in talking with city staff, I understood that they have got this stored and kind of quarantined off sufficient that I was not too concerned about having anything. And again, I don't know that it would hold up. Lastly, if I understood it from the developer, this is a temporary storage. He needs to use this equipment, but he's got to just store this for now until he can get the full transition into East Ridge.
Do you know if the bleachers are already assembled, or it's going to haul in there and we're going to have complete assembled bleachers there sitting up on top of that hill outside the field?
I'm not aware of how the bleachers are assembled or not, or if they're not, I'm not sure.
I do know that if they're up on that field, they will be assembled. They will not just be up there in a disassembled condition. And they certainly would be in a position where they would be an attractive nuisance to people to go up there and mess with those bleachers. I think, as I understand it, they'll be fully assembled. Now, I don't know if they are right now, and to the extent that any damage was caused. Councilman Cagle asked me what do we do if there's damage caused? If there's damage caused as a result of them bringing it onto the facilities, they would be responsible for repairing that.
Our property.
Right, yes, they would cure any issues that arose to the property as a result of them bringing it onto the field.
And I'm sure that we would oversee the delivery of this to ensure that it was intact and no damage when it arrived. So you'd have a joint, a city employee along with someone from the development. When they deliver it, that we would all agree that everything is intact. Or if there's, it's like you go around a car, I walk around it and see, point out any issues with it before I leave. So.
And it does provide, like the Councilman Cagle, kind of that protection each part. The developer will indemnify the city and hold harmless and protect the city against any damages it says they're arising out of or anything of their actions. So if they come on and were to damage our equipment, if they were backing into our storage and they were to hit something in the storage, they would have to indemnify us for that damage. And again, he's going to have insurance that would cover that sort of an accident if it were to occur.
Any other questions? All right, got a motion and a second. Like I said, roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. All right, that concludes our regular agenda session. We will move to item G, which is discussion of our tentative agenda items for January 9th council meeting. Under item A would be old business, which was pulled, so that will no longer be as old business for January 9th. Okay, we may have a new agenda item if you get through but we will not have that, we don't know yet, so we'll pull that out. So then we'll go into new business. It would be an unnumbered ordinance for a budget amendment. Ms. Walls?
Yes, sir. This budget amendment would do the capital outlay note that we're doing on the police vehicles. We have to do the revenue and expenditure for accounting purposes. And then if you remember, we were going to purchase SWAT rifles last year. We put it in the budget. We were not able to. There was a problem on the vendor's part. We finally got the rifles last month, so we'll have to amend this year's budget to reflect it. And then we'll be amending to reflect the revenue we received, the donations tonight, $4,500.
And then we'll have another one for the donation. We had 2 donations, right?
Yes, that's not
Oh, that's passing through?
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah, the family, the
food pantry?
Yes, sir. You'll just need to tell me who to call to come get their check.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Any discussion on the budget amendment? Cool. Do we have any other items that we need to add to the tentative agenda for our next meeting? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a long one, but it's been very productive. We appreciate everyone that's stuck in there. Again, we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe and enjoy the holidays. Meeting is adjourned.